said it couldn't be done, that no nation could build a fighter jet so advanced it would blur the line between science fiction and reality. Then the United States made an announcement on the F-55, a $1.5 billion stealth machine that looked like it dropped straight out of another galaxy. Witnesses called it a UFO with wings. What are the capabilities of the F-55, and what makes it better than other fighter jets? Join us as we explore the capabilities of the F-55 billionaire fighter jet that shocked the world. President Donald Trump recently made a move that caught even seasoned defense watchers off guard. He announced that he wants the United States to build a twin-engine version of the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. He even gave it a name, the F-55. Exactly how far this idea has progressed remains unclear, but it raises intriguing questions about the future of both the F-35 and the Air Force's next-generation stealth fighter, the F-47. Trump made the statement while in Qatar, where he also visited U.S. forces at Al Udeid Air Base. His visit came alongside a massive business win for Boeing. Qatar Airways placed the largest ever order for Boeing's wide-body airliners, buying 167 77X and 787 jets worth an eye-popping $96 billion. Amid the fanfare of billion-dollar deals and military visits, his remarks took an unexpected turn toward cutting-edge fighter technology. He described the F-55 in a way that hinted at it being both an upgrade to the F-35 Lightning II and an entirely new design. This echoed recent discussions from Lockheed Martin about creating a best value alternative after Boeing secured a major fighter contract. During a breakfast meeting with top executives, including Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg and GE Aerospace CEO Larry Culp, Trump addressed his vision for the F-35 program. "We're going to do an F-55, Trump said. "If we can get the right price, it'll have two engines, a super upgrade on the F-35, and then we're going to do the F-22. For fans of the Raptor, the cutting-edge air fighter that has been soaring the skies for 20 years, Trump's words about the F-22 Super were music to the ears. "I think the most beautiful fighter jet in the world is the F-22, but we're going to do an F-22 Super, a very modern version of the F-22 fighter jet," he added, promising the project would move ahead quickly. The original F-22 Raptor has long been considered one of the most advanced fighters ever built, with unmatched stealth, agility, and speed. But it's also been in service since the mid-2000s. The Super version could push its capabilities even further, potentially adding upgraded engines, enhanced stealth coatings, advanced radar, and state-of-the-art weapon systems. Recently, the Air Force unveiled a viability upgrade package aimed at making sure the Raptor stays not just relevant, but dominant in the battles of tomorrow. This upgrade isn't just a minor tune-up. It includes the long-awaited infrared defensive system, improvements to the jet's stealth coating, sharper radar capabilities, and a stronger electronic warfare system to outsmart enemy sensors. And that's just part of the plan. Other projects in the works, like stealth-friendly fuel tanks for longer missions and advanced infrared search and track pods, will complement these changes, giving the Raptor new tricks without compromising its invisibility. The push for these upgrades appears in the Air Force's budget request for the fiscal year 2026. They're asking for just over $90 million to kickstart the program. Out of a total fleet of 185 Raptors, only 143 are combat ready. The rest are tied up in training, testing, or grounded for maintenance, meaning the force is small, in high demand, and too valuable to risk falling behind. But the Raptor isn't the only aircraft on the Pentagon's radar for the next era of air dominance. The F-55 would also offer a unique combination of stealth, power, and affordability, standing somewhere between the F-35 and the future sixth-generation fighters. With its twin engines, it could deliver superior thrust and range compared to the single-engine F-35, making it an appealing option for both the United States and its allies. While Trump briefly mentioned a simple upgrade for the current F-35, the real attention grabber was his call for a twin-engine variant. This is an idea that hasn't been seriously discussed since the Joint Strike Fighter program began more than 2 decades ago. Twin engines offer more than just safety redundancy, although that's clearly a factor for Trump. If one engine fails, the aircraft can still return to base on the other, a reassurance for pilots flying over long distances or hostile territory. But in the world of fighter jet performance, two engines also mean more thrust. More thrust can translate into higher speeds, greater climb rates, and improved ability to operate at higher altitudes. The overall range of the F-55 could be better or worse than the current F-35, depending on how designers balance fuel load, aerodynamics, and thrust requirements. Still, Trump's statement added fuel to speculation about where America's air power is headed. The Air Force is already moving forward with the F-47, its sixth-generation fighter expected to operate alongside unmanned drones in future combat. If a twin-engine F-55 were developed, it could fill a unique role between the stealthy but single-engine F-35 and the high-tech F-47. For aviation fans, the idea is fascinating. If the proposed twin-engine F-35, also called the F-55, ever becomes a reality, it will need serious power plants to match its ambitious performance goals. One promising source could be the Next Generation Adaptive Propulsion Program, a cutting-edge effort focused on developing entirely new engines for the Air Force's Next Generation Air Dominance Initiative. This is the same program that has led to the development of the F-47, America's next-generation stealth fighter. For years, aviation watchers have speculated that the NGAP program might not be limited to just the NGAD aircraft. Its advanced propulsion systems could eventually find their way into other high-performance jets, possibly even into the F-55. The NGAP program took a major step forward in January of this year when the Air Force increased the value of its contracts with General Electric and Pratt & Whitney. Both companies now have a contract ceiling of $3.5 billion, giving them the resources to push engine technology further than ever before. The idea of upgrading the F-35's power plant is not new. In the past, the Pentagon explored re-engining the fighter as part of the Adaptive Engine Transition Program. Back in 2023, however, the Air Force announced it was planning to cancel AETP in favor of simply upgrading the existing Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine, which currently powers all versions of the F-35. But Congress had other ideas. Lawmakers authorized extra funding to keep AETP alive, recognizing the long-term value of adaptive engine technology. The work done under AETP has not gone to waste. It has already been integrated into NGAP designs. General Electric's XA-102 and Pratt & Whitney's XA-103 engines are both direct descendants of AETP research. There's even the possibility that existing engine core designs could be adapted for new roles, potentially speeding up development and reducing costs. A U.S. Air Force briefing slides from as far back as 2018 hinted at the kind of performance gains AETP and programs that follow it could unlock for future combat jets. These benefits include higher fuel efficiency, more thrust, greater range, and better heat management, all of which are critical for advanced stealth fighters operating in high-threat environments. Still, turning the F-35 into a twin-engine aircraft is no small task. Adding a second engine would mean a heavier and more complex aircraft, which would inevitably cost more to build and operate. Two engines also mean a greater maintenance burden, more moving parts, more inspections, and more potential repairs. More importantly, this transformation would require a major redesign of the F-35's airframe. The current fuselage, intake system, and internal structure are optimized for a single-engine layout. Fitting in two adaptive engines would require engineers to rethink airflow, fuel systems, cooling, and even how internal weapons bays are arranged. Subsystems such as hydraulics, electrical generation, and avionics would also need to be reworked to handle the increased power output and operational demands. Despite the challenges, the potential payoff could be huge. A twin-engine F-55 powered by next-generation adaptive engines could combine the stealth and sensor fusion of the F-35 with massively improved performance. Faster speeds, higher altitudes, longer range, and greater payload capacity. With NGAP technology, the engines could even adjust their performance on the fly, optimizing for either fuel efficiency during long flights or maximum thrust during combat. Yet, as tantalizing as that vision sounds, the path to realizing it is anything but certain, and recent events have dealt Lockheed Martin some bruising setbacks. Lockheed Martin has had a rough ride lately in the high-stakes world of advanced fighter jet development. After losing to Boeing in the next-generation air dominance competition, the project that gave birth to the futuristic F-47, Lockheed also found itself cut from another race, this time for the U.S. Navy's new stealth fighter. But Lockheed isn't stepping away from the fight. Instead, the company is now exploring bold plans for what it calls a fifth-generation plus fighter, a jet that would take today's stealth technology and push it into new territory. CEO James Takelet recently told industry analysts that Lockheed intends to use some of the high-tech features it developed for its failed F-47 bid and apply them to the existing F-35 Lightning II. The result? Takelet claims it could deliver 80% of the capability at half the cost. "We're basically going to take the chassis and turn it into a Ferrari," he said. In other words, Lockheed's vision is to turn the already capable F-35 into something far sleeker, faster, and deadlier, without the price tag of a brand new sixth-generation aircraft. A Lockheed spokeswoman added, "We thank President Trump for his support of the F-35 and F-22 and will continue to work closely with the administration to realize its vision for air dominance." Meanwhile, Lockheed is also working on a delayed but important technology and software upgrade for the F-35. This update is expected to improve cockpit displays, boost processing power, and give pilots a more advanced operating system for the aircraft's complex systems. However, analysts are still trying to piece together how Trump's ambitious list of possible projects fits into the Pentagon's existing plans and budget. Not every idea may get off the ground. Nick Cunningham, an aerospace analyst at Agency Partners, has suggested that the mysterious F-55 mentioned by Trump might actually be a reference to the F/A-XX program. This Navy-led project aims to replace the aging Boeing F/A-18 Super Hornet fleet with a sixth-generation stealth fighter. If true, the F-55 could be the Navy's next big leap in air combat. But there's politics involved. The Navy and Congress are reportedly clashing with the Trump administration over how to keep the F/A-XX program moving. A winning bidder had been expected as early as March, but the schedule could slip depending on funding battles in Washington. Any significant upgrade to the F-22, such as creating the proposed F-22 Super, would not be cheap. Since the jet's production line has long been shut down, modernizing it would require extensive retooling and costly new components. And then there's Trump's intriguing detail about the F-55 having two engines. That immediately sets it apart from the single-engine F-35. For aviation experts, this suggests the F-55 isn't just an upgraded Lightning II, it could be an entirely new platform. As UK-based defense analyst Francis Tusa put it, adding an engine to the F-35 makes it a new aircraft. That means more power, more range, and potentially greater payload capacity, all critical factors in the next generation of air dominance. But turning that vision into reality isn't simply a matter of bolting on another engine. The challenges run deeper, from engineering constraints to mission-specific limitations, and some variants face steeper hurdles than others. In the specific case of the short takeoff and vertical landing variant of the F-35, the F-35 Bravo, there appears to be no realistic pathway to creating an equivalent twin-engine version of the proposed F-55. The unique design of the Bravo, which incorporates a powerful lift fan behind the cockpit for vertical operations, is fundamentally tied to its single-engine configuration. Any attempt to re-engineer this arrangement to accommodate two engines would require an entirely new airframe and propulsion layout, eliminating the very design features that make the Bravo capable of short takeoff and vertical landing operations. Photographs from Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, Japan, on April 2, 2021, capture the F-35 Bravo in its element. Operated by Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 242, the aircraft was taking part in joint training alongside Marine Corps, Navy, and Air Force assets in the Indo-Pacific region. These exercises demonstrate the flexibility of the Bravo in contested environments, but they also underscore why the twin-engine concept simply does not fit into its mission profile. By contrast, the conventional takeoff and landing F-35 Alpha and the carrier-capable F-35 Charlie could, in theory, be reimagined in a twin-engine configuration. For the Navy in particular, the benefits of a dual-engine fighter are compelling. Carrier operations demand a greater margin of safety, and two engines offer redundancy that could prove life-saving in the event of an engine failure far from land. Additional thrust would also allow for heavier payloads, extended range, and more onboard power for advanced electronic warfare systems or directed energy weapons in the future. While such advantages are attractive, it is important to note that the Navy has not voiced significant dissatisfaction with the F-35 Charlie's single-engine arrangement. Since its introduction to carrier decks, there have been no recorded losses attributable to engine failures during naval operations. This record suggests that the Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine, which powers all F-35 variants, has proven remarkably reliable even in the harsh and unforgiving environment of carrier aviation. Still, the idea of a twin-engine carrier fighter is not without precedent or contemporary examples. China's J-35, often described as a close analog, if not an outright copy, of the F-35, was designed from the start with two engines. Intended for carrier operations, the Chinese fighter's twin-engine design offers a direct point of comparison and highlights Beijing's decision to prioritize redundancy and raw thrust in its carrier aviation fleet. In the United States, discussions about the merits of twin-engine stealth fighters inevitably intersect with the Navy's F/A-XX program, the service's planned sixth-generation carrier-capable stealth fighter. While details remain classified, the program aims to replace the aging Boeing F/A-18 Super Hornet fleet with a platform boasting not only advanced stealth, but also superior range, payload capacity, and sensor integration. President Trump's recent remarks may have been informed, at least in part, by developments in the FAXX program. Earlier reports have revealed that the program is currently under review by the Pentagon, the White House, and Congress, with concerns over its cost and scope prompting delays. Recent estimates suggest that a contract award, which could be valued in the hundreds of billions of dollars, might be postponed by as much as 3 years. Some analysts have even warned that further delays could place the program at risk of cancellation, potentially leaving the Navy with a capability gap in the coming decades. If such setbacks were to occur, a twin-engine variant of the F-35 Charlie could serve as an interim measure, offering the Navy a more powerful and flexible platform while sixth-generation designs mature. However, this path would still entail substantial redesign work, significant costs, and a lengthy testing and certification process before such an aircraft could be operationally deployed. While the U.S. services weigh their options, potential export interests should not be discounted. President Trump's remarks could have been deliberately aimed at stimulating enthusiasm among regional allies. In particular, both Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have, in the past, been linked to potential F-35 acquisitions. By introducing the idea of a twin-engine F-55, Washington may be signaling a willingness to explore co-development or investment opportunities with Gulf states, much as it did with the Advanced Eagle program. That initiative, which saw Saudi Arabia and Qatar contribute to the development of advanced F-15 variants, ultimately benefited the U.S. Air Force when it adopted the F-15 Echo X-ray. As for Trump's mention of a more modest F-35 improvement, this could refer to ongoing enhancements, including the latest Block 4 upgrade package, which adds a wide range of new weapons, sensors, and software capabilities. There has also been discussion of a further refined configuration informally referred to as the F-35X, although this remains unofficial. Whether the F-55 is another case of an off-the-cuff remark, a deliberate attempt to float an idea publicly, or a sign of a genuine but undisclosed military program remains unclear. It could be that Trump was referring to a potential twin-engine development of the F-35, a concept that has been discussed in some defense circles, though not officially confirmed. In the world of high-level defense policy and procurement, it is not unheard of for political leaders to mention projects prematurely or even by mistake. However, when it comes from a former president who has a history of making headline-grabbing remarks about aircraft, the effect is magnified. Every word is parsed for hints about secret programs or future procurement strategies. For now, the supposed F-55 sits in a strange limbo, caught between the possibility of being an error, an imaginative leap, or an intentional tease of something yet to be revealed. Until official details emerge, It will remain an enigma, much like other unexpected statements that have fueled debates about Trump's grasp of advanced aviation and the fine line between military secrecy and political showmanship. The U.S. Air Force just dropped a bombshell. A UFO aircraft built to end the cartel war in 90 days. This stealth fighter carries more firepower than an F-22 Raptor. It vanishes from radar like it was never there. In 1 year, Mexican cartels caused 70,000 American deaths with fentanyl. Command now has a solution: a war machine that can crush cartel networks from the sky. Can this invisible system neutralize the largest criminal empire ever built? And what follows when America engages with unrestricted force? Join us as we find out what the UFO aircraft carrier can do in the fight against Mexican cartels. 70,000 Americans died from fentanyl poisoning last year. That number equals the entire population of a small city wiped out by Mexican cartels. The drug crisis has become a national security threat that regular law enforcement cannot handle. Mexican cartels now operate like military forces. They use encrypted satellite communications that rival Pentagon systems. Cartel scouts deploy commercial drones with night vision cameras along the border. Their convoy vehicles carry armor plating thick enough to stop rifle bullets. Some cartel fighters even wear military-grade body armor and carry automatic weapons. The Sinaloa cartel controls smuggling routes worth over $50 billion every year. These smuggling routes stretch across the United States-Mexico border and reach into more than 50 countries worldwide. The cartels dig tunnels under the border with lights, rail tracks, and air systems. Some stretch more than half a mile. Cartel submarines, both semi-submersible and fully submersible, move tons of cocaine along the Pacific coast while slipping past Navy patrols. In the air, they fly ultralight planes, small prop planes, and cargo jets changed to carry multi-ton loads. They use hidden airstrips in Mexico, Central America, and even remote areas inside the United States. This setup gives them worldwide reach, large-scale transport, and strength close to a combat force. Border Patrol agents often face cartel groups that outgun them. Smugglers shine laser pointers to blind helicopter pilots during night missions. Cartels have shot down multiple law enforcement aircraft over Mexican territory. The violence now spills into American cities. Intelligence reports showed cartel plans for attacks on United States border sites. The fictional September strike on the Eagle Pass border station changed everything. Cartel fighters fired rocket-propelled grenades at Border Patrol vehicles. 3 agents were killed in a battle that lasted 4 hours. Congress reacted within days. The authorization for use of military force passed with bipartisan support. Lawmakers marked major cartels as foreign terrorist groups under United States law. The Pentagon was ordered to prepare military solutions for the cartel threat. Traditional ground raids had failed for decades. DEA operations made only small dents in cartel power. The Mexican government has been limited by corruption and fear. Each success by law enforcement only pushed cartels to new locations. Military planners began studying the cartel structure like enemy armies. They mapped smuggling routes using satellites. Defense experts found that cartels held land larger than many European nations. Their empire stretched from Colombia to Canada. Air power was the only tool for such a vast area. Cartels operated hidden runways across the Sonoran Desert. Their boats used the Gulf of Mexico like their own highway. Fighters based in Texas and California could not reach all these targets. The Pentagon needed aircraft with a long range over international waters. These jets needed to carry enough weapons to destroy several sites in one mission. Stealth would keep them from being spotted before striking. Most of all, they needed mobile bases. When law enforcement could not stop them, military planners turned to the skies. The Pentagon already had a weapon in secret development. Of what use is it? The X-44 Manta came from Lockheed Martin's most secret projects. This stealth fighter broke every design rule. The Manta had no tail at all. Its delta wing design looked like something from a science fiction film. Engineers built it with thrust vectoring technology that lets the jet change pitch and roll by moving engine exhaust. This removed the need for tail parts that usually made radar detect planes. The result was a fighter more invisible than any aircraft built before. The F-22 Raptor was already the stealthiest jet, with a radar return the size of a marble. The Manta cut this signature by another 75%. Enemy radar could only see it up to 10 miles away. Stealth changed air combat completely. Normal fighters appear on radar more than 100 miles away, giving enemies time to fire missiles or launch interceptors. The Manta reached its target before being seen. Its tailless design also left a large space for fuel and weapons. The F-22 carries 6 missiles, the F-35 carries 4. The X-44 could hold 12 missiles plus 4 guided bombs. This extra load mattered against cartel operations spread over huge areas. Traditional fighters had to rearm after hitting just a few sites. The Manta finished whole missions without refueling. Its Pratt & Whitney engines burned fuel 20% better than the F-22's. The jet could fly more than 2,000 miles without tanker support. This covered the Gulf of Mexico and deep into Mexican territory. Thrust vectoring gave the Manta extreme agility. It could climb straight up at 90 degrees. It made turns so sharp that pilots hit G-force limits. Missiles could not keep up. The jet could fly higher than 60,000 feet. Commercial jets cruised between 25 and 40,000. This height kept the Manta safe from most missiles. From 11 miles high, its sensors gave clear images of ground targets. It carried electronic systems to block cartel radios and signals. It also carried cyber tools to crash cartel computers. These weapons blinded cartels before attacks began. The Manta was the result of 25 years of stealth fighter development. It used lessons from the F-117, F-22, and F-35. Every system aimed at one goal: total control of the skies. But the jet needed mobile launch platforms to strike anywhere cartels operated. Aircraft carriers became the answer. Carriers serve as floating air bases that extend the United States' power worldwide. Each supercarrier weighs over 100,000 tons and carries a full air wing. The Navy runs 11 of them. Carriers solve the problems that land bases cannot. Air bases in Texas and Arizona are too far from southern Mexico. Long flight times cut fuel and weapons load. Carriers sail close to coast and strike from there. In the Gulf of Mexico, carriers turn the sea into America's lake. A single carrier 50 miles offshore could hit targets 800 miles inland, covering every cartel hub from Tijuana to the Yucatan. Naval aviators train for long overwater missions. They use satellites for navigation when no landmarks exist. They practice landing on moving decks even in storms. These skills are key to missions against coastal smugglers. Supercarriers hold over 3 million gallons of fuel below the waterline. This supply keeps combat flights going for weeks without tankers. The air wing includes more than fighters. E-2 Hawkeye planes give early warning across areas larger than states. Electronic attack planes jam radios and radar. Aerial refueling tankers extend range for long missions. Carriers carry guided bombs, missiles, and electronic pods in their armories. Machine shops fix damage without leaving port. Escort ships protect carriers with hundreds of surface-to-air missiles. Their radar tracks threats more than 200 miles away. Nuclear power plants give carriers an unlimited range. Reactors run for 25 years without new fuel. They keep top speed for months without stopping. Carriers link directly to the Pentagon with satellites. Recon satellites send target data straight to fighter cockpits in minutes. The flight deck becomes a non-stop launch site. Steam catapults throw fighters into the air in seconds. Cables stop jets from landing at 150 miles per hour. Operations keep going in bad weather as carriers turn to create proper wind. This mobility keeps pressure on cartels at all times. These sea-based air bases launch the most advanced fighters for precision strikes. The daily missions begin before dawn. Mantas climb to 60,000 feet and scan wide areas. Cameras show clear images, while radar looks through clouds and at night to find hidden airstrips and bunkers. Within hours, intelligence teams select targets. Strikes hit remote runways, drug labs, and safe houses. Mantas attack unseen and destroy sites with pinpoint accuracy. Labs are hit with bombs that break reinforced walls before exploding inside. Mantas also patrol the skies to stop cartel aircraft, fire missiles at boats, and jam communications. At night, sensors track fighters moving through deserts and jungles. Target data flows to ground forces for raids. Deep missions strike mountain compounds where leaders hide. Tankers refuel the Mantas over the Pacific before they enter Mexico. Stealth lets them slip past defenses. Around the clock, combat patrols keep pressure on cartel routes. Special forces on the ground guide bombs with lasers and call in urgent strikes. Together, air and ground forces form one mission. These precision attacks would deal heavy blows to cartel power. But can air power alone secure total victory? Air superiority transforms asymmetric warfare against criminal organizations completely. Cartels excel at ground-based insurgency tactics developed over decades of fighting Mexican military forces. They cannot adapt quickly to sustained air attacks from invisible fighters operating beyond their defensive capabilities. Traditional law enforcement raids provide a warning to cartel networks. Criminal organizations use spotters positioned miles from target locations. Radio communications alert leadership to approaching ground forces. Cartel fighters evacuate facilities hours before authorities arrive. Airstrikes eliminate this early warning advantage. X-44 Manta fighters approach targets undetected by any available radar systems. Weapons release occurs without warning to personnel inside target facilities. The time between detection and destruction measures is in seconds rather than hours. Economic warfare through precision strikes hits cartel financial operations hard. Every drug lab destroyed means millions of dollars lost. Strikes on airstrips stop planes worth tens of millions from reaching drug markets. These financial hits spread fast through the whole criminal network. Cartel efforts to adjust do not succeed against advanced air power. Underground sites give little safety from weapons designed to smash bunkers. Spreading operations increase costs and weaken production. Moving drug labs is not possible under non-stop aerial surveillance. International concerns create difficulties for how much the United States military can do. Mexican sovereignty concerns complicate cross-border strikes on cartel targets. Congress provides the legal basis for action against listed terrorist groups. Working with Latin American partners gives legitimacy to longer air campaigns. Air power proves cheaper than traditional law enforcement methods. A single X-44 Manta costs about $300 million with development included. That investment destroys drug networks worth billions each year. The payoff becomes clear within the first year of operations. Intelligence sharing makes limited air assets more effective. Satellites spot hundreds of possible targets across Mexico. Target lists are ranked by importance and value to operations. By doing so, the process ends up with every single strike bringing the best results. The mental effect also goes beyond the damage caused on the ground. Cartels depend on fear as a tactic to dominate, and they actually believe that they cannot be defeated. Their failure to block air attacks weakens control over local people. Fear of sudden strikes from hidden aircraft forces cartels to change how they act. Regional stability improves as cartels lose power. Reducing drug trafficking reduces violence in border areas on both sides. Mexican forces regain control of territories once held by criminals. Local economies grow in places freed from cartel control. Long-term effects reshape drug trafficking as a whole. Surviving cartels retreat to remote areas with little reach. New groups lack the money and resources to rebuild fast. Governments move into the gap and gain lasting control. Concerns remain about using advanced technology in combat. Rival intelligence agencies try to recover parts from downed aircraft. Protecting stealth technology requires strong security measures. Military planners calculated that sustained air operations could achieve what decades of ground fighting never accomplished. Operation Phantom Strike launched on October 1st with simultaneous attacks across 12 Mexican states. 48 X-44 Manta fighters struck 200 cartel targets within the first 72 hours. Every major drug processing facility from Sinaloa to Michoacan burned under precision-guided munitions. The Sinaloa cartel lost 95% of its aircraft fleet during the opening week. 23 trafficking planes exploded on remote airstrips before crews could evacuate valuable cargo. Air-to-air missiles destroyed another 15 aircraft attempting emergency flights to Guatemala and Honduras. Cartel communication networks broke down after days of electronic warfare. Cyber weapons shut down financial systems that controlled billions in drug money. Bank accounts were drained as funds were redirected to United States law enforcement. The financial base of the cartels collapsed in just a few days. Operations to remove cartel leaders hit key targets with exact accuracy. Small diameter bombs destroyed armored vehicles carrying commanders who tried to flee ruined compounds. Intelligence teams tracked new leaders before they could take control. The chain of command broke faster than the cartels could react. At sea, interdiction operations cleared the Gulf of Mexico of trafficking vessels. Coast Guard cutters intercepted 47 drug submarines heading for the United States shores. Navy patrol aircraft, guided by Manta fighters, found fast boats hidden in inlets. Ocean smuggling routes were shut down permanently. Border security improved quickly as cartel pressure dropped along the Rio Grande. Smuggling attempts fell by 80% in the first month. Border Patrol agents reported the quietest period in the agency's history. Illegal crossings dropped to levels last seen in the 1990s. Fentanyl seizures at ports of entry went down as supply networks collapsed. Drug availability in United States cities dropped within weeks of the campaign. Overdose deaths fell by 40% in border states in the first quarter. Emergency rooms reported sharp declines in drug-related cases. Mexican forces regained control of land held by cartels for more than a decade. Army units entered old no-go zones without facing resistance. Police went back to towns once controlled by cartel enforcers. Civilians celebrated freedom after living under criminal rule for years. Intelligence confirmed cartel operations were destroyed. The groups that survived had no resources to rebuild their lost facilities. New groups could not fill the gap left by fallen leaders. The drug trafficking threat dropped to levels not seen since before 2000. United States forces suffered no casualties during the 90-day campaign. No X-44 Manta fighters were damaged by cartel fire. Electronic warfare blocked all attempts at organized resistance. The technology advantage was too great for the cartels to overcome. Regional stability reached levels unseen in 2 decades. Foreign companies started investing in places that were once too dangerous. Tourists returned to coastal towns after cartels were removed. Local economies grew without the reach of criminal groups. The campaign showed that advanced military systems could solve problems outside traditional wars. Air power in 3 months achieved what decades of ground efforts could not. The invisible fighters brought down the strongest criminal empire of modern times. The F-35A is more than just a fighter jet. It's the perfect symbol of the United States' air dominance. Designed during a time when the United States demanded the highest level of air security, this aircraft redefined aerial combat with its unmatched capabilities. But does it live up to the hype? What sets the F-35A apart from every other jet in the sky? Join us as we reveal the capabilities of the most advanced hypersonic jet in the world. The F-35 emerged as a result of the Joint Strike Fighter program, which was born from the consolidation of various military aircraft development projects in the 1980s and 1990s. One of these programs, the Advanced Short Takeoff/Vertical Landing, ran from 1983 to 1994. Its goal was to create a replacement for the U.S. Marine Corps and the United Kingdom's Royal Navy's Harrier jump jet. As part of Advanced Short Takeoff/Vertical Landing, Lockheed Skunk Works developed a stealthy supersonic fighter, which incorporated the shaft-driven lift fan system for vertical lift. The concept involved a single-engine aircraft with a canard delta wing, weighing around 24,000 pounds. In 1993, Advanced Short Takeoff/Vertical Landing was renamed the Common Affordable Lightweight Fighter, and collaboration expanded to include Lockheed, McDonnell Douglas, and Boeing. The end of the Cold War in 1991 and the collapse of the Soviet Union led to significant cuts in defense spending, which impacted military programs. The U.S. Department of Defense restructuring led to the cancellation of several aircraft programs, including the U.S. Air Force's multi-role fighter and the U.S. Navy's Advanced Attack/Fighter projects. The MRF, designed to replace the F-16, was postponed due to the changing defense needs and a reduced role for the F-16. Meanwhile, the A/FX program, originally intended to replace the A-6, was modified after the cancellation of its predecessor, the A-12 Avenger II, in 1991. Following the review of defense priorities, both MRF and A/FX were canceled in 1993. However, insights from these programs contributed to the formation of the Joint Advanced Strike Technology Program, aimed at developing advanced warfare technologies rather than a new aircraft. In 1994, the Astoval-CAF and JAS programs merged, as the requirements for a concept demonstrator aircraft became evident. This led to the creation of the Joint Strike Fighter program in 1995, which sought to replace a variety of multi-role and strike fighters. International collaboration was a key element from the outset, with the United Kingdom becoming a founding member and contributing to the program. Other nations, including Italy, the Netherlands, and Canada, joined during the concept demonstration phase, with varying levels of involvement. By 1997, Boeing and Lockheed Martin were selected to develop concept demonstrators for the JSF, with their respective aircraft designated X-32 and X-35. Lockheed Martin's design built upon the technologies developed under the ASTOL program, including the innovative SDLF system, which allowed for short takeoffs and vertical landings. Unlike Boeing's X-32, which used a direct lift system, Lockheed's X-35 utilized a lift fan in the forward fuselage that could augment engine thrust for vertical flight. The X-35 was designed to accommodate three versions: a conventional takeoff and landing variant, a carrier-based version, and a short takeoff and vertical landing version. This commonality between the variants was a key feature of the design, with modifications made to suit each specific role, such as a larger wing for the carrier variant. The first flight of the X-35A took place on October 24, 2000, and was followed by a series of tests to assess its flight characteristics. After 28 flights, the aircraft was modified into the X-35B to demonstrate its STOVL capabilities, including hover and short takeoff and landing. The X-35C, which featured a larger wing for carrier landings, conducted its first flight on December 16, 2000. These successful tests demonstrated the capabilities of the JSF and set the stage for the next phase. In 2001, after extensive testing and evaluation, Lockheed Martin was chosen as the winner of the contract for the system development and demonstration phase of the JSF program. Additionally, Pratt & Whitney was awarded a contract to develop the F-135 engine for the F-35. The aircraft was given the F-35 designation, a surprise to many, including Lockheed Martin, which had expected the F-24 label. This marked the beginning of the F-35's development as a versatile, multi-role aircraft capable of meeting the needs of various military forces worldwide. The F-35 is a single-seat aircraft equipped with a powerful AESA radar positioned at the front. This radar can track and engage multiple targets simultaneously, both in the air and on the ground. A key feature of the aircraft is its distributed aperture system, which uses 6 infrared cameras mounted around the jet. These cameras create a 360-degree video feed that pilots can view on their visors, effectively giving them the ability to see through the aircraft and themselves during flight. Although primarily a missile warning system, it also serves as a backup for night vision, allowing pilots to see in complete darkness, including clouds, mountains, and other aircraft. Beneath the nose of the aircraft lies the electro-optical targeting system. This system uses infrared technology, similar to sniper or lightning pods, to identify and track ground and aerial targets. It provides precise coordinates to guide laser-guided bombs, enabling both planned and dynamic targeting of moving objects. The F-35 is often referred to as a supercomputer with wings because of its ability to dominate the battlefield. Designed to serve as a versatile platform, it can manage and share situational awareness across a 60-mile radius, coordinating with other aircraft and decision-makers to maintain battlefield control and enhance operational effectiveness. Stealth is a fundamental feature of the F-35, achieved through advanced design techniques and materials. The aircraft's radar cross-section is significantly reduced by the careful shaping of its airframe and the incorporation of radar-absorbent materials. Specific design choices, such as aligning edges, using continuous curves on surfaces, serrating skin panels, and concealing the engine face, contribute to reducing RCS. The F-35 also employs a diverter supersonic inlet that utilizes a compression bump and forward-swept cowl, removing the need for a traditional splitter gap or bleed system. This innovation further decreases the radar signature by redirecting the boundary layer away from the inlet duct. The F-35's RCS is described as smaller than that of a metal golf ball at specific frequencies and angles, making it competitive with the F-22 in terms of stealth. The aircraft's design, which draws on lessons from earlier stealth models such as the F-22, features a durable radar-absorbent fiber mat skin that requires less maintenance than previous coatings. Furthermore, the F-35 has reduced infrared and visual signatures, along with stringent controls over radio frequency emissions to avoid detection. Much of the work involves the radar system, which identifies targets and shares that information with others. A significant part of the aircraft's capabilities is found in its outer panels. Beneath these panels are advanced supercomputers and large sensors integrated into nearly every section of the plane's exterior. These technologies are complex, and even experienced operators may not fully understand all the systems. The aircraft's stealth is especially effective against high-frequency X-band radar, though it is vulnerable to low-frequency radars, which can detect stealth aircraft through Rayleigh scattering. However, low-frequency radars are less precise, more prone to interference, and generally more conspicuous. To further conceal its radar cross-section, the F-35 can also use Lundberg lens reflectors to obscure its signature. Moving on to the inside of the aircraft, the cockpit of the F-35 is designed to enhance situational awareness with a 20 by 8-inch panoramic touchscreen that displays vital flight and combat information, including flight instruments, store management, and caution warnings. This screen can be customized to the pilot's preference, with a smaller standby display positioned below it. A speech recognition system aids communication, and the aircraft does not use a traditional head-up display. Instead, all relevant data is shown directly on the pilot's helmet visor via a helmet-mounted display system, allowing the pilot to access information regardless of head position. The canopy is a single tinted piece hinged at the front for structural integrity, while the Martin Baker US-16E ejection seat is equipped with a twin catapult system. The aircraft uses a hands-on throttle and stick system and an onboard oxygen generation system powered by the integrated power package ensures life support with emergency backup systems in place. One feature people often find fascinating in fighter jets is their weaponry. The F-35A variant is unique as it includes an internal cannon located near the left air intake of the jet. This cannon can hold 181 rounds of 25mm ammunition. Although this is larger than the ammunition carried by most fourth-generation fighter jets, it is still smaller compared to what an A-10 uses. A valuable feature of this cannon is its burst-around limiter, allowing the pilot to control how many rounds are fired with each trigger pull. For instance, a pilot can choose to fire only 20 rounds at a time, ensuring better ammunition management. This setup allows for multiple precise shots during a mission. Beneath the jet, the bomb bay doors open to reveal its primary weapons storage area. Inside the bomb bay, the F-35 can carry bombs of varying sizes, ranging from 250 pounds to 2,000 pounds, depending on the mission's needs. For example, when targeting heavily fortified structures like bunkers or tanks, the 2,000-pound bomb might be used. Alternatively, for missions requiring precision against multiple targets, smaller bombs can be deployed to hit up to 8 separate locations within a 70-mile range. This flexibility makes the jet highly versatile and practical in diverse scenarios. The aircraft also features one of the most advanced flight control systems globally, comparable to that of the F-22 Raptor. Known as a fly-by-wire system, it is more sophisticated than the system used in the F-16 Viper. Essentially, this system interprets every movement of the pilot's controls, such as the stick and throttle, as a digital request, ensuring precise and efficient responses. When comparing the F-22 Raptor and the F-35, both being fifth-generation fighters, there are notable differences. The F-22 features twin engines, offering extraordinary maneuverability and superior thrust vectoring capabilities, making it ideal for air combat. Its larger airframe enhances its role as a dominant dogfighter. On the other hand, the F-35, a newer design by approximately a decade, is smaller and optimized for versatility. While it remains agile, it can carry larger payloads, including 2,000-pound bombs, compared to the F-22 1,000-pound capacity. Additionally, the F-35 is equipped to hold more air-to-air missiles internally, emphasizing its multifunctional air-to-ground and air-to-air capabilities. The F-35 Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine is among the most potent fighter jet engines ever created, producing an impressive 43,000 pounds of thrust in afterburner mode. This incredible power supports the entire demonstration, lasting about 13 minutes, and ensures reliable performance without concerns of engine failure during high-stress operations. Remarkably, the engine's thrust exceeds the aircraft's weight, enabling astonishing maneuvers, including spins and rapid direction changes. By about 2 minutes into a demonstration, the thrust-to-weight ratio allows for unparalleled agility, showcasing the F-35 engineering excellence. From that moment onward, the acceleration increases rapidly to the point where it becomes challenging to manage, especially at sea level or during a demonstration over a beach. For those unfamiliar, there are three distinct variants of the F-35, the A, B, and C models. The A model is the conventional version primarily used by the Air Force. It is designed for standard takeoff and landing, just like any typical airplane. The B model, used by the Marine Corps, is a short takeoff and vertical landing variant capable of hovering. Lastly, the C model is intended for carrier operations. It is launched via a catapult from aircraft carriers and lands using an arresting cable. It is fascinating to consider the experience of flying such an advanced machine. When piloting the F-35, and especially when another F-35 approaches alongside, one can't help but marvel at the aircraft's incredible design. One interesting fact is that at Hill Air Force Base, in the Aircrew Flight Equipment section of the 388th Operational Support Squadron, there is a special area dedicated to fighter pilot preparation, similar to a locker room for athletes. Just as sports teams gear up before an important game, F-35 pilots have a designated space to prepare themselves for flight. This area is where they store essential gear, such as G-suits, survival vests, and most notably their helmets. One of the key components of the F-35 cockpit system is the Vision System's International Helmet-Mounted Display. This system eliminates the need for a conventional head-up display by projecting all relevant data onto the pilot's helmet visor. Additionally, it provides night vision and infrared imagery through the distributed aperture system, enabling the pilot to effectively see through the aircraft. The system allows the pilot to target and fire missiles even when the aircraft is not directly aimed at the target, thanks to off-bore sight missile seeker cues. Each helmet costs around $400,000, and while the system offers significant advantages, concerns have been raised about the potential risk to lightweight pilots during ejection due to the added weight of the helmet. Development of the HMDS encountered issues with vibration, sensor displays, and night vision during the testing phase, leading to the consideration of an alternative system based on the AN/ABS-9 night vision goggles. However, after further improvements to the baseline HMDS, the development of this backup system was halted by 2013. By 2016, a new Gen 3 helmet was introduced, offering enhancements like improved night vision, better display systems, and automated alignment, marking a significant milestone in the F-35 cockpit development. These helmets are remarkable, being the most advanced fighter pilot helmets ever created. They are integrated directly into the aircraft, replacing the traditional heads-up display found in older jets. Instead, all necessary flight data, including airspeed, altitude, heading, warning systems, and targeting information, is projected directly onto the helmet visor. In addition to the helmet, pilots also wear specialized gear to support them during flight. Below the neck, pilots are equipped with a G-suit designed to counteract the forces experienced during flight, ensuring blood circulation to vital areas to prevent loss of consciousness. Pilots also wear survival jackets, which contain essential equipment such as flares, flashlights, tourniquets, and GPS systems, all of which are vital if the pilot ever needs to eject from the aircraft. Finally, the oxygen mask connects directly to the aircraft to supply the necessary oxygen during flight, ensuring the pilot's safety and ability to function effectively. Comparing the F-35 with the Chinese J-20, these air fighters are two cutting-edge fighter jets, each boasting impressive strengths. The F-35 stands out for its superior stealth and widespread adoption among United States allies. At the same time, the J-20 is known for its speed and ability to target critical support aircraft, making it a serious contender. Despite the J-20's advantages, including supercruise capability and heavy investment in development, it lacks a cannon, and its pilots have limited combat experience. In a potential conflict over Taiwan, the F-35's stealth and the battle-tested expertise of U.S. pilots could give it an upper hand, though the J-20 remains a formidable opponent. The J-20, nicknamed the Mighty Dragon, officially joined China's Air Force in 2018, with around 150 currently in service. Its design closely resembles features of the F-35 and F-22, sparking speculation that China used cyber espionage to copy U.S. technology. Like the F-35 program, the J-20 has seen massive financial investment, costing an estimated $4.4 billion, with each jet priced at $120 million. With both nations mass-producing these fighters, A future clash over hotspots like Taiwan or the South China Sea seems possible. The question remains, which jet would reign supreme in this battle for air superiority? The J-20 is a powerful twin-engine fighter jet used by China. It currently flies with Russian-made AL-31 or Chinese WS-10C engines, but China is working to upgrade it with next-generation WS-15 engines for greater power and performance. However, progress on replacing the engines has been slower than expected. Despite this, the J-20 boasts impressive capabilities that make it a key player in modern air combat. With a top speed of Mach 2, a range of 1,100 nautical miles, and a ceiling of 66,000 feet, the J-20 is both fast and capable of covering long distances. It can carry a significant amount of fuel and is equipped to launch a variety of missiles, including air-to-surface and anti-ship types. This versatility allows the J-20 to excel in both ground attack missions and air superiority roles, enhanced by its thrust vectoring control and strong thrust-to-weight ratio. However, the J-20's stealth capabilities fall short when compared to the American F-35. The forward canards on the J-20 increase its radar visibility, giving the F-35 an advantage in spotting and engaging it first. Despite this, Chinese strategists believe the J-20 can still punch through contested airspace to target critical American support aircraft like tankers and reconnaissance planes. The newer J-20 models also include supercruise technology, allowing them to sustain high speeds without afterburners. This gives them an edge in speed over the F-35, which maxes out at Mach 1.6. The J-20's performance has drawn the attention of United States military leaders. Earlier this year, F-35s and J-20s came into proximity during an encounter over the East China Sea. General Kenneth Wilsbaugh, commander of the U.S. Pacific Air Forces, described the J-20's command and control systems as impressive, signaling that China's advanced fighter jet is not to be underestimated. The YF-23 is back and better. Once a ghost of aviation history, this stealth fighter vanished after losing to the F-22. But now the United States has shocked the world by unveiling a futuristic version, so advanced it's being called a UFO airplane. With alien-like stealth, unmatched speed, and next-generation tech, this reborn YF-23 could change the skies forever. Could this mysterious craft be America's leap into the future of warfare? And is the world ready for it? Join us as we explore the capabilities of the futuristic YF-23 UFO airplane that the U.S. just revealed. Conceived by Northrop in the late 20th century, a time when digital design was barely emerging and budgets constrained ambition, this fighter was a machine built to rewrite the rules of air combat. It was unlike anything the world had seen, and it promised stealth and speed in ways that felt almost otherworldly. If the Air Force had chosen it under the Advanced Tactical Fighter Program in 1990, the very concept of sixth-generation fighters might have arrived decades earlier. Its ideas did not vanish with its official loss to Lockheed's YF-22. Instead, they lingered, quietly influencing the next era of aerial warfare. Long before the YF-23 took shape, Northrop's engineers were already exploring the boundaries of stealth. Beginning in 1981, Robertson, Dusky, and Upinglu envisioned a fighter that could move unseen, agile yet invisible, blending the speed and power of modern jets with the shadow-like presence of a phantom. When American reconnaissance satellites first caught sight of the Soviet Union's Su-27 and MiG-29 fighter prototypes between 1977 and 1979, alarm bells rang loudly across the United States. These sleek Soviet jets promised to erase the combat and maneuverability advantages of America's top fighters, the freshly introduced F-15 Eagle and the agile F-16 Fighting Falcon. The growing Soviet threat did not stop there. In 1978, the USSR unveiled the A-50 Airborne Warning and Control System, a flying radar fortress, along with increasingly sophisticated surface-to-air missile defenses. For the U.S. Air Force, the message was clear. Its tactical edge was being challenged, and the future battlefield would demand something extraordinary. By 1981, the U.S. Air Force responded by laying down requirements for an ambitious new aircraft, the Advanced Tactical Fighter, or ATF. This jet would not simply match the Soviets. It would leap into the future with revolutionary technology. Engineers envisioned a machine built from composite materials and lightweight alloys, powered by advanced engines, guided by digital flight control systems, and cloaked in cutting-edge stealth. It would be versatile, performing both air-to-air duels and precision air-to-ground strikes with equal mastery. When the Air Force released its request for information in May 1981, aerospace companies flooded in with creative concepts. The program, codenamed Senior Sky, was still shaping its identity, so responses varied wildly. Northrop, known for bold ideas, offered 3 designs that ranged from an inexpensive lightweight fighter to a hyper-agile performer to a low-observable missileer. All were compact, emphasizing agility and cost efficiency. One prioritized maneuverability at the cost of stealth, another maximized invisibility but sacrificed agility, and a third struck a careful balance between the two. This final path evolved into a radical design with diamond wings, butterfly tails, and a fuselage sculpted to deflect radar. By 1983, momentum had picked up. The Air Force established the ATF System Program Office at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, growing from the early concept development team. After close talks with Tactical Air Command and industry leaders, the SPO decided the ATF's heart would lie in air-to-air combat. It would replace the F-15, soar at supersonic speeds, cruise effortlessly above Mach 1, and dance through the skies with unmatched maneuverability. Northrop responded with the N-360, a futuristic Mach 2 plus fighter sporting delta wings, twin-thrust vectoring engines, and bold vertical tail designs. But another secret was reshaping the future: stealth. The SPO had been briefed on classified Black World projects like Have Blue and the F-117 Nighthawk, Tacit Blue, and the advanced technology bomber that later became the B-2 Spirit. These programs showed that radar invisibility was no longer science fiction. The ATF would now need not just speed and agility, but near invisibility. Northrop was uniquely positioned. Since October 1981, a stealth design team led by engineer Robert Sandusky had been quietly experimenting. By 1985, he was joined by Yu-Ping Liu, a B-2 scientist with rare mastery of both radar signatures and aerodynamics. Together, they pushed 3 daring concepts: the agile, maneuverable fighter, emphasizing aerobatics with minimal stealth; the ultra-stealth fighter, nicknamed the Christmas tree for his sharp, angular planform; and the high-stealth fighter, or HSF, which struck a near-perfect balance. The high-stealth fighter became the crown jewel. With diamond wings, butterfly tails, and carefully aligned surfaces, it absorbed radar waves and slipped past detection. Its nose, nicknamed the platypus for its unique curves, reflected Liu's genius in blending stealth with airflow. By 1985, the HSF had evolved into a design that looked strikingly close to what the world would later recognize as the Northrop YF-23, a sleek predator embodying both invisibility and speed. Every line and surface of the aircraft was purposeful. Its cockpit sat higher than most, giving pilots an extraordinary field of vision, while the peculiar platypus-shaped nose allowed for sharper attack angles. The fuselage was a masterpiece of stealth, sculpted to slice through radar and air alike. Beneath the surface, a tricycle landing gear supported the craft, and a spacious internal weapons bay kept its firepower hidden from prying eyes. Its twin engines were tucked into separate ducts to minimize radar exposure, and their exhaust passed through heat-dissipating tiles made of a porous alloy, masking the aircraft from infrared-guided missiles. Unlike the YF-22, the YF-23 did not need thrust vectoring to turn. It could cruise above Mach 1.5 without afterburners, combining speed, stealth, and survivability in a rare harmony. Testing confirmed it was quieter, faster, and more elusive than its competitor. Flight testing proved that Northrop's predictions about the YF-23's performance were accurate. The aircraft could achieve a maximum angle of attack of 25 degrees and was considered stealthier and faster than the YF-22. Its weapons bay, carefully designed for low radar signature, was tested for acoustics, though it never launched live missiles during trials. Lockheed's YF-22, by comparison, did fire AIM-9 Sidewinders and AIM-120 AMRAAMs, giving it an edge in live demonstration. One of the most intense moments came on November 30th, 1990, when the YF-23's PAV-1 prototype performed a grueling combat demonstration. 6 flights within 10 hours, showing stamina, speed, and reliability. Over the course of the program, the 2 YF-23s flew 50 sorties, logging a total of 65.2 flight hours. Meanwhile, Lockheed's YF-22 completed more flights and more testing hours, which later proved crucial in the Air Force's decision-making. By December 1990, both Lockheed and Northrop had submitted their final evaluations and proposals. Despite outperforming the YF-22 in speed, stealth, and overall capability, the Air Force chose Lockheed's design, prioritizing low-speed agility and other logistical factors. Most aircraft shelved under similar circumstances faded into obscurity, yet the YF-23's story was far from over. Back in the year 2004, Northrop Grumman brought forward an ambitious proposal that drew heavy attention within aviation circles. The company suggested developing an advanced bomber known as the FB-23, nicknamed the Rapid Theater Attack, or RTA. It was intended to meet a United States Air Force call for an interim regional bomber. It was set to compete against other strong contenders, including the Lockheed Martin FB-22 and Boeing's modified B-1R concept. Unlike its fighter predecessor, this proposed bomber would feature a 2-seat cockpit and a much larger overall structure. While maintaining a similar planform shape to the original F-23, the FB-23 would be considerably bigger in every dimension. Its length would stretch to around 100 feet, making it capable of carrying heavier payloads and traveling greater distances to match the role of a true tactical bomber. The envisioned aircraft would boast an impressive combat radius of over 1,600 nautical miles, equal to nearly 1,840 standard miles, or almost 2,960 kilometers. Alongside this range, it was expected to carry an internal payload of up to 10,000 pounds of ordnance. To support these needs, the FB-23 would rely on powerful engines equipped with round axis emimetric nozzles positioned above the aft deck. This was a departure from the YF-23 fighter, which had used wedge-shaped flaps on its nozzles. Despite the changes, Northrop Grumman retained certain trademark features, such as the semicircular inlet design paired with a conical compression bump, which had been a hallmark of the original prototype. To push the project further, the company even modified the YF-23P AV-2 prototype, turning it into a display model that could demonstrate how the proposed bomber might look and operate. Aviation enthusiasts and defense officials were intrigued by the concept, yet the FB-23 faced an uphill battle. In 2006, the Quadrennial Defense Review effectively ended any hope for the project. The review concluded that the United States Air Force should pursue a long-range strategic bomber rather than settle for a regional interim design. As a result, the FB-23 proposal was shelved in favor of programs that eventually evolved into the next-generation bomber and later the Long-Range Strike Bomber effort, which produced the B-21 Raider. But that did not discourage Northrop Grumman, because years later, in 2018, Northrop Grumman once again explored possibilities for resurrecting aspects of the F-23 design. This time, the interest came from abroad. The Japan Air Self-Defense Force released a request for industry partners to help develop its next-generation fighter, often referred to as the FX, bridging both 5th and 6th generation capabilities. Speculation quickly rose that Northrop Grumman might pitch a modernized version of the F-23 to Japan as a potential solution. Meanwhile, Lockheed Martin responded with a proposal based on a modified F-22 airframe. However, both American options ultimately failed to win Japan's approval, primarily because of concerns tied to cost and industrial workshare agreements. Everyone must have thought that the YF-23 had no future in aviation, but the story did not end with that loss. Its design philosophies re-emerged decades later, influencing the most advanced aircraft of the 21st century. The B-21 Raider adopted hidden engines, recessed nozzles, and minimized thermal signatures, perfecting ideas that were initially tested in the YF-23. But that's not all. Similarly, 6th-generation fighter programs around the world, including the Global Combat Air Program, adopted its radical approach, Smooth silhouettes, blended wings, concealed intakes, and a philosophy that prioritizes invisibility and rapid strike over traditional dogfighting. Its revolutionary concepts also re-emerged as the backbone of the next-generation air dominance program. Features that once seemed fantastical, keyless design, blended wings, exotic air intakes, hidden engines, no vertical tails, and a smooth thermal profile, are now shaping the fighters of tomorrow. Boeing's F-47 concept, for instance, mirrors the YF-23's silhouette so closely that Darrell B. Cummings, one of the original engineers, described it as a continuation of his team's work from 30 years prior. What seemed over-engineered in the 1980s and 90s is now recognized as foresight. At the time, flight control systems could not stabilize an aircraft without vertical fins, and nozzle heat shielding was experimental, often yielding unpredictable outcomes. Today, with high-speed processors, autonomous stabilization, and advanced airflow simulations, those once risky ideas have become reliable, foundational elements of modern stealth aircraft design. The philosophy behind the YF-23 remains as relevant as ever. Rather than dogfighting, it focused on first look, first shot, and first kill. Its innovations live on in aircraft like the B-21 Raider, whose hidden engines, recessed nozzles, and low thermal signature directly reflect lessons learned from the YF-23. In a modern battlefield shaped by hypersonic weapons, autonomous drones, and integrated sensor networks, invisibility and speed are survival, and the YF-23 set the standard. At the heart of its enduring influence lies stealth as a fundamental principle. The YF-23's engines were tucked deep within the fuselage, exhaust flows cooled through heat-absorbing tiles, and radar-deflecting surfaces made the aircraft almost invisible to sensors. This was not merely camouflage, it was a philosophy of survival. Modern jets like the B-21 Raider owe much to these ideas, adopting deeply recessed engines, hidden nozzles, and shielded intakes to minimize thermal signatures. Engineers confirmed that the Raider did not simply borrow concepts, it perfected them, translating early experimentation into practical, battle-ready solutions. But stealth alone does not define these aircraft. Digital intelligence has become equally crucial. The Raider integrates virtual modeling, digital twins, and modular systems, transforming the fighter into a flexible, adaptive platform. The YF-23 envisioned a world where pilots operate not as isolated warriors, but as central nodes in a larger network, commanding automated systems, drones, and integrated sensors. What was once experimental guesswork in the 1980s is now reliable engineering, allowing aircraft to vanish from sight while delivering precision strikes. The ripple effect of the YF-23 extends beyond the United States. Allies, including Britain, Japan, and Italy, collaborate on the Global Combat Air Program to develop sixth-generation fighters. Their designs show Northrop's radical innovations: smooth, flowing surfaces, concealed propulsion systems, no vertical tails, and highly aerodynamic silhouettes. AI co-pilots, automated threat detection, and fully digital cockpits make these aircraft more than machines. They are extensions of a networked battlefield where speed, invisibility, and intelligence determine survival. Today, with hypersonic weapons, multispectral sensors, and autonomous drones shaping combat, its vision is prophetic. Every curve, every intake, every hidden line on modern stealth aircraft reflects lessons first explored on the YF-23. Though it never flew in production, its legacy endures, influencing aircraft that dominate skies and redefine aerial supremacy. While critics initially called it too radical, today its design principles are echoed in cutting-edge programs across the globe, proving that visionary ideas never truly fade. The evolution of aerial combat has shifted the very role of the pilot. Modern sixth-generation jets are designed around artificial intelligence, where human pilots are no longer lone combatants, but commanders of interconnected digital armies. AI co-pilots anticipate threats in fractions of a second, automated systems detect dangers faster than any human reaction, and fully digital cockpits transform the pilot into the brain of a vast airborne network. Decades ago, the YF-23 hinted at this paradigm shift. Its geometry, once considered unconventional, was a blueprint for a future where speed, invisibility, and first strike capability outweighed traditional dogfighting agility. It is essential to dispel a long-standing myth. The YF-23 was not inferior to Lockheed's YF-22 in performance. Both aircraft were extraordinary, but Northrop pursued a philosophy focused on survivability and lethal efficiency. Their principle was simple yet devastating. First see, first strike, first kill. No endless circles, no cinematic duels, just the clean, ruthless logic of modern warfare. In today's era of hypersonic missiles, multispectral sensors, and autonomous drones, this philosophy has proven prescient, guiding the development of platforms that dominate the skies not through agility alone, but through unseen mastery. International programs like the Global Combat Air Program, alongside America's next-generation air dominance initiatives, continue to draw from the YF-23's DNA. Blended wings, smooth thermal profiles, and buried engines are no longer experimental. They are foundational. The B-21 Raider, often seen as a successor to the B-2 Spirit, perfected many concepts first tested in the Black Widow II, including heat suppression, recessed propulsion, and low observable design. Stealth is no longer optional. It is the essence of survival. The battlefield of today is no longer defined by dogfights or simple air-to-air duels. It is a complex, fast-moving arena dominated by hypersonic weapons capable of crossing continents in mere minutes. Sensors now operate across multiple spectra, radar, infrared, and electronic frequencies, allowing military forces to detect threats long before they appear on traditional systems. Autonomous drone swarms fly alongside manned aircraft, overwhelming defenses not through brute force alone, but through intelligence, numbers, and relentless coordination. At the heart of this high-tech warfare is real-time sensor fusion, connecting satellites, jets, and command centers into one massive digital brain, orchestrating battles with a precision that would have seemed unimaginable decades ago. In this environment, maneuverability, once the hallmark of fighter superiority, has become secondary. True survivability comes from invisibility, from the ability to remain unseen until the decisive moment. This is where the legacy of the YF-23 becomes strikingly relevant. Although the YF-23 never entered production, its design philosophy has shaped the most advanced fighter programs in the world. The aircraft was conceived not for Hollywood-style dogfights, but for the future of warfare, an era defined by striking first, striking unseen, and striking with lethal efficiency. The next-generation air dominance program, the B-21 Raider, and international initiatives like the Global Combat Air Program may appear different on the surface, yet they share the same core principles first pioneered by the YF-23. These aircraft are not merely fighters, they are instruments of air dominance designed to control the battlefield through stealth, speed, and integrated intelligence. Every curve, every hidden intake, and every recessed engine in these modern platforms echoes the visionary thinking of Northrop engineers who, decades ago, imagined a plane from the future. In the sixth-generation era, the mission is no longer to outmaneuver the enemy in the sky. It is to vanish from detection, to deliver strikes before adversaries even know they are under threat. The YF-23 anticipated this reality long before the technology to realize it existed. Its advanced aerodynamics, hidden exhausts, and sleek, radar-resistant design were early blueprints for today's stealth-first philosophy. The aircraft's spirit endures, influencing the architecture of modern jets that integrate artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and digital command networks. What was once dismissed as radical, over-engineered, or ahead of its time has proven to be prophetic. The YF-23 was more than a prototype. It was a thinking model, a design philosophy that whispers through the silhouettes of every next-generation fighter. For decades, the skies have held mysteries that science couldn't explain. Whispers of UFOs, alien technology, and secret government projects have captured our imaginations. But what if those whispers weren't just rumors? What if the future of flight and physics as we know it was being tested in plain sight? Join us as we uncover the U.S. top-secret UFO fighter jets that could rewrite physics. In the vast emptiness of the Mojave Desert, a remote and unassuming site was quietly established in 1955, one that would later become synonymous with secrecy, speculation, and the pursuit of the impossible. About 80 miles northwest of Las Vegas, the U.S. Air Force, the CIA, and Lockheed Martin selected this desolate stretch of land as the perfect location to test the most advanced and mysterious aircraft ever conceived. Known today as Area 51, it has since evolved into a symbol of government secrecy and the unknown. At the core of Area 51's origins lies the U-2 spy plane, a marvel of engineering that forever changed the landscape of reconnaissance and unwittingly fueled an explosion of UFO sightings across the United States. The U-2 was an aircraft unlike any other, designed to fly at astonishing altitudes of over 70,000 feet, far beyond the reach of conventional planes and radar systems. Its sleek, alien-like profile against the thin stratospheric air only added to its mystique. Pilots wearing pressurized suits, resembling astronauts, maneuvered this extraordinary machine in the harsh environment of near space, gathering intelligence that was previously unattainable. Its capabilities extended far beyond mere surveillance. The U-2 could capture detailed images with high-resolution cameras, detect faint signals with advanced sensors, and provide data from the electromagnetic spectrum invisible to the human eye. The innovation didn't stop there. This aircraft was equipped with a range of tools, from synthetic aperture radar to optical bar cameras that captured imagery with astounding clarity. Some data could even be transmitted in near real-time via advanced air-to-satellite communication, while other intelligence, like wet film, had to be analyzed post-mission. These advancements not only made the U-2 a critical asset during the Cold War, but also placed it decades ahead of its time, blurring the line between human ingenuity and science fiction. Despite its significance, the U-2's presence had to remain hidden from the public eye. Area 51 became a tightly guarded enclave where innovation thrived under a veil of secrecy. All activity and research within its boundaries were classified as top-secret, sensitive, compartmented information. Even as strange aircraft sightings multiplied, government officials adamantly denied their existence, going to great lengths to maintain the illusion of normalcy. The denial only fueled public curiosity and conspiracy theories. Many Americans believed that they had glimpsed extraterrestrial visitors, unaware that the aliens were cutting-edge American aircraft, built to outfly and outwit adversaries. Flying the U-2 was no task for the faint-hearted. Pilots faced unparalleled challenges, particularly during landings. The aircraft's bicycle-style landing gear and poor forward visibility, hindered by its long, pointed nose, demanded surgical precision. A second U-2 pilot would chase the landing aircraft in a high-speed car, providing real-time radio feedback to assist in aligning the plane with the runway. This demanding process, combined with the thin margins for error, earned the U-2 its reputation as the most difficult aircraft in the world to fly. But for all its challenges, the U-2 proved indispensable. Powered by an efficient General Electric F-118-101 engine, the aircraft could remain airborne for extended periods without needing mid-air refueling. Over the decades, it underwent upgrades that replaced outdated wiring with advanced fiber optic systems, reducing electronic interference and enabling the integration of next-generation sensors. These updates ensured the U-2 remained a cornerstone of American intelligence gathering well into the 21st century. Area 51 became more than a testing site. It became a cultural phenomenon, synonymous with mystery and intrigue. As the years passed, the rumors surrounding Area 51 grew louder and more persistent, especially as some of the secretive aircraft developed at the site began to be revealed to the public. Among the most famous of these aircraft was the SR-71 Blackbird, an engineering marvel that emerged from the Cold War's increasing tensions. In the early 1960s, the United States, anxious about potential Soviet threats, sought to create a reconnaissance plane that could fly higher and faster than anything the world had ever seen. The SR-71 Blackbird was born from this mission, developed by the legendary Skunk Works division of Lockheed Martin. Skunk Works was not just a division, it was a secretive elite team of engineers and scientists tasked with building cutting-edge technology under extreme time pressure. Led by Kelly Johnson, a brilliant and visionary aircraft designer, Skunk Works had a long track record of delivering seemingly impossible aircraft, And the U-2 spy plane was only one example of their ingenuity. Johnson and his team thrived under pressure, consistently turning out highly complex machines under tight deadlines. And their work on the SR-71 was their most ambitious challenge yet. As Johnson once said, everything had to be invented. Everything. The SR-71 was designed to be a high-speed, high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft capable of flying at over 2,000 miles per hour, an incredible speed that no other plane at the time could sustain. While other aircraft might reach such speeds in short bursts, the Blackbird had to maintain this speed for hours, which introduced an unprecedented problem: heat. As the aircraft tore through the atmosphere at these extreme speeds, the friction generated would cause the airframe to heat up to temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, enough to melt standard materials. To solve this problem, Skunk Works turned to titanium, a metal that could withstand extreme temperatures. However, titanium posed its own set of challenges. It was a brittle material, shattering if mishandled, and required special handling and tools to prevent it from breaking. Lockheed's engineers quickly adapted, designing new tools made of titanium to handle this sensitive material, and training workers to meet these stringent requirements. Another issue was how to manage the temperature difference between the aircraft's exterior and its interior. At the aircraft's leading edges, temperatures would soar well over 1,000 degrees, while inside the cockpit, temperatures could drop to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. To solve this, Skunk Works' engineer, Ben Rich, recalled a simple but effective solution: black paint. Black paint, he realized, could both absorb and dissipate heat. This innovation helped cool the aircraft and earned it the iconic name Blackbird. The first flight of the original design, the A-12, took place on April 30th, 1962. The A-12 was a single-seat aircraft that set the stage for the SR-71, which featured a second seat for a reconnaissance systems officer and more fuel capacity. The SR-71 had its first flight on December 22nd, 1964, and quickly became the most advanced aircraft of its time, capable of speeds and altitudes that were previously unthinkable. Flying the SR-71 was an extreme experience, one that pushed pilots to their limits. At 85,000 feet and Mach 3, the Blackbird reached speeds and altitudes that made conventional flying seem like a distant memory. At that speed, it was almost a religious experience, recalled Air Force Colonel Jim Watkins, describing the thrilling sensation of piloting the Blackbird. Pilots had to remain focused and alert throughout their flight, dealing with high-tech systems and the immense physical and mental challenges of flying at such extreme speeds. The SR-71's speed and altitude made it virtually untouchable by enemy aircraft or surface-to-air missiles. The Blackbird could outrun any missile fired at it, and on numerous occasions, pilots would receive a warning light on their control panels when an anti-aircraft weapon was launched. By the time they checked their radar, the missile would be far behind them, unable to keep up with the Blackbird's breathtaking velocity. Throughout its service, the SR-71 set numerous records, many of which still stand to this day. It remains the world's fastest and highest-flying manned aircraft, a title it earned through a combination of revolutionary design and cutting-edge technology. Its performance was legendary. During its retirement flight from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. in 1990, the SR-71 flew coast to coast in just 67 minutes, an achievement that highlighted its unmatched speed. The SR-71 Blackbird's legacy is not just defined by its records and technological achievements, but also by the way it captivated the public's imagination. Its sleek, black design and otherworldly capabilities made it a symbol of the Cold War's high-tech arms race and inspired countless myths and rumors about its secretive testing at Area 51. Though the aircraft was eventually retired in 1990, its place in history is secure, and it remains one of the most iconic aircraft ever built. As remarkable as the Blackbird was, its success may have been propelled by a far more enigmatic aircraft, the TR-3B Manta. The TR-3B Manta is one of the most debated mysteries in aviation. Some say it doesn't exist, while others are sure it does. Officially, the U.S. government denies it, just as they denied the existence of other secret aircraft like the SR-71 Blackbird for years. But eyewitness reports and stories from military insiders paint a different picture. The TR-3B is said to be a black, triangular aircraft with features so advanced they sound like science fiction. Its surface is reportedly made of a special material that can absorb radar waves, change color, and make it almost invisible. Combined with its shape, which reduces radar detection, it would be nearly impossible to spot on radar or with the naked eye. Witnesses describe it as silent and capable of hovering in one place before moving with incredible speed. Its rumored engines, placed at the three corners of the triangle, are said to allow it to make sharp, high-speed turns that no known aircraft can manage. People who claim to have seen it say it can stop suddenly, accelerate instantly, and even perform perfect right-angle turns. This level of control and speed would make it untouchable by current fighter jets. What really makes the TR-3B stand out are the claims about its propulsion system. It's said to use an anti-gravity drive, a technology that would completely change the way we think about flight. This system would let it hover silently, move at extreme speeds, and travel long distances without needing traditional fuel. The origins of this technology are often linked to Operation Paperclip, a secret U.S. program after World War II that brought over 1,500 German scientists and engineers to work on advanced projects. Some believe their research led to breakthroughs like the TR-3B. Skeptics argue that such technology would require an enormous amount of energy, far more than what current engines can provide. However, there are whispers of another breakthrough that might make this possible. Lockheed Martin, the company behind many of the U.S. military's most advanced aircraft, holds patents for compact fusion reactors. These reactors are small enough to fit in a fighter jet, but powerful enough to produce the energy needed for something like an anti-gravity drive. Adding to the mystery is Dr. Salvatore Cesar Pais, an aerospace engineer who has filed patents for technologies that sound like they belong in a movie. These include devices that reduce an object's mass, create gravitational waves, and even modify space-time. The U.S. Navy has reportedly invested nearly $500,000 to support his research since 2017. One of his most talked-about patents is for a craft that uses an inertial mass reduction device. This concept matches the descriptions of how the TR-3B is said to work, making some wonder if his research is connected to this mysterious aircraft. Interestingly, Dr. Pais's work has strong supporters. One of them is Dr. James Sheehy, the Chief Technology Officer of the U.S. Naval Aviation Enterprise. In discussions about Pais's patents, Sheehy pointed out that other countries, like China, are also exploring similar technologies. He emphasized that the U.S. needs to lead in this area to avoid falling behind. This urgency to stay ahead could explain why the U.S. would keep such an aircraft secret if it does exist. Over the years, there have been many sightings of triangular UFOs that people believe could be the TR-3B. Witnesses often describe a silent black craft with bright lights at its corners, hovering in the sky before disappearing or speeding off. These sightings are usually dismissed by officials, but they keep fueling speculation. Some of the maneuvers described by witnesses, such as instant stops and rapid turns, are beyond what any known aircraft can do. These reports make people wonder if the TR-3B is not just real, but decades ahead of anything publicly acknowledged. Some skeptics dismiss the TR-3B as nothing more than a myth. Without hard evidence, they say it's just a story fueled by imagination and conspiracy theories. But others argue that the U.S. military's pattern of secrecy, combined with the advanced patents and technologies being developed, suggests there might be some truth to the rumors. What makes the TR-3B story even more interesting is the idea that it might not just be an aircraft. Some believe it could represent a leap in how we understand physics and technology. If the claims about anti-gravity propulsion and other advanced systems are true, they could change not only military aviation, but also transportation and energy as we know them. Stealth became paramount in the 1980s and 1990s, a time when espionage between nations, particularly the US and the Soviet Union, reached a fever pitch. The need to operate undetected pushed military aviation to its limits, driving the creation of aircraft that could evade even the most advanced radar systems. This era saw the birth of groundbreaking designs like the F-117 Nighthawk, the B-2 Spirit, and the F-22 Raptor, machines that not only changed the face of aerial warfare, but also showcased human ingenuity at its finest. The F-117 Nighthawk was among the first to redefine what an aircraft could achieve in terms of stealth. This jet wasn't built for beauty or speed. It was crafted to be invisible. With its angular panels and unusual shape, The F-117 didn't look like anything that had come before it. Traditional aircraft designs were sleek and aerodynamic, but the Nighthawk prioritized deflecting radar waves over aesthetics. Each panel was meticulously calculated to scatter radar signals, making the aircraft nearly impossible to detect. Coated in a radar-absorbent material, the jet became a ghost in the skies. Developed by Lockheed Martin's secretive Skunk Works division, the F-117 was born out of necessity. In the late 1970s, the U.S. military needed a way to penetrate heavily defended airspace without being seen. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, spearheaded the project, holding a competition to find the best stealth design. Lockheed Martin's Have Blue Prototype 1, paving the way for the F-117. It first took flight in 1981, and by 1983, it was operational, though its existence remained a tightly guarded secret. The secrecy surrounding the Nighthawk was extreme. For years, its very existence was denied, and it wasn't until 1988 that the public got a glimpse of this mysterious aircraft. Even then, much of its capabilities remained classified. Pilots who flew the F-117 described it as challenging but rewarding, requiring a deep understanding of its unique design and behavior. Its effectiveness was proven during conflicts like the Gulf War, where it delivered precision strikes against heavily defended targets without being detected. Though retired in 2008, the Nighthawk remains a symbol of stealth and innovation. While the F-117 excelled at tactical missions, the B-2 Spirit took stealth to a strategic level. Designed to deliver both conventional and nuclear payloads, the B-2 was a game-changer in long-range bombing. Its flying wing design was chosen for its ability to reduce radar visibility, making the aircraft appear as a small blip, or nothing at all, on enemy radars. Unlike traditional bombers, the B-2 could penetrate deeply into enemy territory, hitting targets that were once considered unreachable. The development of the B-2 began in the late 1970s, with Northrop Grumman leading the effort. Its first flight took place in 1989, and the aircraft was officially unveiled shortly after. The B-2's capabilities were astounding. It could travel over 6,000 nautical miles without refueling and carried a crew of just 2 pilots, a stark contrast to the larger crews required by older bombers. Its low observability was achieved through a combination of advanced materials, coatings, and design elements that minimized its infrared, acoustic, and electromagnetic signatures. These features allowed the B-2 to operate undetected, even in areas with advanced air defense systems. The B-2's stealth was not just about evading radar. It also included measures to reduce its visibility across multiple spectrums. For example, its engines were buried deep within the aircraft to minimize heat emissions, and its surfaces were carefully designed to avoid reflecting light. These innovations made the B-2 a true marvel of engineering, capable of delivering devastating payloads with precision while remaining virtually invisible. The F-22 Raptor brought stealth into the realm of air superiority, combining it with speed, agility, and advanced technology. Unlike the F-117 and B-2, which were primarily designed to avoid detection, the F-22 was built to dominate the skies in combat. It represented a new generation of fighters, blending stealth with unparalleled performance. Development of the F-22 began in the 1980s as the Air Force sought a replacement for its aging fleet of fighters. Lockheed Martin's design was chosen after fierce competition, and the first operational F-22S were delivered in 2005. The Raptor's capabilities were unmatched. Its radar-absorbing materials and sleek design made it nearly invisible to enemy radar, while its engines allowed it to sustain supersonic speeds without afterburners, a feature known as supercruise. This combination of stealth and speed gave the F-22 an edge in both offensive and defensive operations. The Raptor also incorporated advanced avionics and sensors that allowed pilots to detect and engage threats before they could be seen. Its ability to share data with other aircraft in real time made it a force multiplier, enhancing the effectiveness of entire squadrons. During exercises, the F-22 demonstrated its dominance, achieving an incredible kill ratio of 108-0 against simulated adversaries. This performance cemented its reputation as the most advanced fighter jet of its time. These aircraft were united by a singular purpose: to slip through enemy defenses unnoticed and complete their missions with unerring precision. The TR-3B Manta, shrouded in mystery, is said to embody this mission. Stealth wasn't just about evading radar. It was about gaining a decisive tactical edge, enabling high-stakes operations with minimal risk. But unlike its better-known counterparts, the F-117 Nighthawk, B-2 Spirit, and F-22 Raptor, the TR-3B has never been officially acknowledged. Yet reports and alleged sightings have given it an almost mythical status, suggesting it might have played a pivotal role in shaping the next generation of aerial dominance. The F-117, B-2, and F-22 undeniably pushed the limits of stealth technology, but some believe their remarkable designs were not entirely independent efforts. Many theorists suggest these aircraft might have drawn inspiration or technical insights from the TR-3B. If so, the TR-3B's secrecy might stem from its role as a prototype or test bed for ideas that would later define modern stealth aviation. As such, its purpose would not merely be to exist as a singular machine, but to serve as the foundation for future advancements in aerial technology. What sets the TR-3B apart in this narrative is its alleged use of technologies that border on the fantastical. Reports claim the TR-3B operated as early as the 1990s under a classified program known as the Aurora program. This initiative, reportedly funded by billions of dollars from undisclosed budgets and coordinated by organizations like the NSA, NRO, and CIA, aimed to create aircraft that could achieve unprecedented capabilities. Central to the TR-3B's supposed design is the magnetic field disruptor, MFD, a revolutionary technology that allegedly allows the craft to defy gravity. The MFD, as described in various accounts, relies on a ring of plasma accelerated to extreme velocities within the aircraft. This plasma, created by compressing mercury under tremendous pressure and cooled to extraordinarily low temperatures, achieves a superconducting state when spun at 50,000 revolutions per minute. The resulting magnetic field is said to neutralize up to 89% of the aircraft's weight, effectively reducing the influence of gravity and enabling unparalleled maneuverability. Such technology, if real, would allow the TR-3B to perform feats that conventional aircraft could never match, including reaching speeds of Mach 9 in any direction, vertical, horizontal, or diagonal. Beyond its theoretical propulsion system, the TR-3B is rumored to incorporate other cutting-edge technologies that enhance its stealth and performance. The aircraft's structure is said to include advanced composite materials and coatings that render it virtually invisible to radar, infrared, and visual detection. These features would make the TR-3B an ideal tool for reconnaissance missions or covert operations in hostile territories. Its ability to operate undetected, combined with its extraordinary speed and maneuverability, places it in a league of its own. Despite its potential capabilities, the TR-3B remains a ghost in the world of aviation. There are no verified photographs, no declassified documents, and no public acknowledgement of its existence. Sightings and anecdotal evidence form the bulk of its legacy, with reports often originating near Groom Lake, better known as Area 51. This infamous military base has long been associated with experimental aircraft and secret projects, further fueling speculation about the TR-3B's origins. The secrecy surrounding the TR-3B has led to a wide range of interpretations about its purpose and significance. Some view it as a stepping stone in the evolution of stealth technology, a platform for testing concepts that would later appear in the B-2 Spirit or F-22 Raptor. Others speculate that the TR-3B represents a leap beyond conventional aeronautical engineering, incorporating principles and technologies that seem almost alien in nature. The latter interpretation has even led to theories that the TR-3B might be reverse engineered from extraterrestrial craft, an idea popularized by UFO enthusiasts but dismissed by mainstream science. If the TR-3B indeed exists, it would represent the pinnacle of the X-plane tradition, a series of experimental aircraft designed to test new technologies and push the boundaries of aviation. The lineage of X-planes includes historic milestones like the Bell X-1, which broke the sound barrier, and the SR-71 Blackbird, which set records for speed and altitude. These aircraft were not built for mass production, but to explore the limits of what was possible, paving the way for operational designs like the F-117 and B-2. The TR-3B, however, might surpass even these legendary planes in its significance. While the F-117 demonstrated the feasibility of radar-evading stealth and the B-2 introduced long-range, low-observable strategic bombing, the TR-3B is rumored to embody a paradigm shift. Its reported capabilities suggest a level of technological sophistication that could redefine aerial warfare and surveillance. By neutralizing gravity's influence, it could operate in ways that are unimaginable for traditional aircraft, reaching speeds and altitudes that would make it nearly untouchable. As with any secret project, the lack of concrete evidence fuels both intrigue and skepticism. The TR-3B's existence has never been confirmed by any official source, and much of the information about it comes from unverified accounts and speculative reports. Yet the consistency of these accounts, combined with the known history of experimental aircraft development, keeps the legend alive. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the TR-3B is its potential role in shaping the future of aviation. If even a fraction of the rumored technologies are real, they would represent breakthroughs with applications far beyond military use. The principles behind the MFD, for example, could revolutionize transportation, energy, and even space exploration. By reducing the effects of gravity, such technology could make high-speed, long-distance travel more accessible and efficient, opening up possibilities that are currently confined to the realm of science fiction. For now, the TR-3B exists as a shadowy figure in the history of aviation, a whispered legend among enthusiasts and experts alike. Whether it's a real aircraft, a conceptual prototype, or merely a myth, its story captures the essence of human curiosity and the desire to reach beyond the ordinary. Perhaps one day the truth will emerge, shedding light on this mysterious craft and the role it played in shaping the skies above. Until then, the TR-3B remains a captivating mystery, a symbol of the unending quest to push the limits of possibility. But what if the TR-3B isn't just a relic of experimental aviation, but a glimpse into the future of humanity's conquest of the skies, and perhaps even the stars? Something mind-blowing happened over Jerusalem recently. This wasn't just another aircraft sighting. Eyewitnesses reported seeing a silent, hovering craft with flight movements unlike anything seen before. But here's where it gets wild. Word is spreading that this mysterious craft might be tied to a secret Elon Musk aerospace project. The fact that this happened in broad daylight with multiple witnesses suggests this wasn't meant to stay hidden. The timing and location have raised questions about what was being tested exactly. Why Jerusalem? What made this location suitable for such an unusual demonstration? Join us as we break down the details behind this mysterious launch, explore what experts are saying, and look at how Musk's latest move could reshape the future of flight. When reports first started circulating, it sounded like something pulled straight from a science fiction script. But multiple eyewitnesses described seeing a strange object in the sky that was very fast. Within hours, social media picked it up. Clips went viral and speculation spread quickly. Some sources are now linking the sighting to one of Elon Musk's aerospace programs, suggesting it may have been part of a secret test. But there are no verified images of Musk in Jerusalem, no official statements, and no confirmed footage of a launch site near the city. Instead, what's emerging is a mix of real rocket activity, optical illusions caused by atmospheric conditions, and long-standing public fascination with unexplained aerial sightings. So where did these images come from? In early 2025, people across Europe, the Middle East, and the US started posting photos of something incredible: glowing spirals and bright trails streaking across the evening sky. Reports came in from the UK, Sweden, Hungary, Croatia, and Israel, all showing the same thing: a brilliant blue spiral that looked like some kind of portal opening up above them. Turns out this wasn't alien technology at all. What everyone was seeing was the frozen exhaust plume from a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. The UK's Met Office got flooded with calls and had to explain on social media that this illuminated swirl was just rocket exhausts spinning through the atmosphere and catching sunlight. French meteorologists had to calm people down too, posting that this was simply degassing from a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Not a UFO. The science behind it is pretty straightforward. When the first stage of the rocket finishes its job and starts falling back to Earth, it vents any leftover fuel. Up in the thin atmosphere, This fuel immediately freezes into tiny reflective crystals. As the rocket booster tumbles during its descent, these frozen crystals spread out in a spinning pattern. Since they are so high up, they catch and reflect sunlight even when it's getting dark on the ground. That's why people can see these spirals glowing for several minutes, long enough to grab their phones and start posting about alien visitations. One big reason these spiral sightings became so common is that SpaceX launches more rockets than anyone else these days. Their Falcon 9 has become the go-to workhorse for getting satellites and spacecraft into orbit, including secret missions for the US government. Arizona residents got a perfect example of this in July 2025. They watched what news reports called a comet-like trail from a Falcon 9 that had launched from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Even though the sun had already set where people were watching, the rocket exhaust stayed illuminated high up in the atmosphere. Anyone who didn't know about the launch would understandably think they were seeing something extraterrestrial. The same thing happened in March 2025 when a Falcon 9 vented fuel after launching the NROL-69 mission. People across multiple countries saw those distinctive spirals again. Planetary scientists have pointed out that these exhaust patterns aren't dangerous and can happen with other rockets too. But SpaceX launches so frequently now that these formations have become much more common than they used to be. What used to be a rare sight is now something that happens regularly. It's just that most people don't realize there's a rocket launch happening when they see it. Why did so many posts zero in on Jerusalem specifically? It is one of the oldest, most symbolic places on the planet. That history alone makes it a natural target for conspiracy theories and mysteries. Here's the thing though, there's no SpaceX facility in Jerusalem, no NASA launch pad either. When Israel launches rockets, they do it from Palmakim Air Base near the coast, nowhere close to the ancient city center. So technically, the whole idea of some advanced aircraft operating in or around Jerusalem doesn't make practical sense. But there's more to this story. Videos showing weird lights and spinning patterns over Jerusalem have been making the rounds online for years. Some of this footage goes back 10 years or more. Residents and tourists filming strange things during clear nights. The videos have sparked endless arguments about what people are seeing. Rockets? Weather phenomena? Something else? One particular video showed a glowing orb hanging above the dome of the rock before suddenly shooting straight up at incredible speed. Nobody ever came up with an official explanation that satisfied everyone. This new rumor about Musk feels like the latest chapter in an ongoing story. Take old footage of unexplained lights, add a city that's already loaded with religious and political significance, then throw in Elon Musk, someone who gets accused of developing technology years ahead of everyone else. And the pieces seem to fit together. What technology is SpaceX working on? Elon Musk's aerospace company is best known for developing Starship, a fully reusable spacecraft designed for missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. It's still undergoing tests in Texas, with updates regularly posted on the SpaceX website. The company also operates the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets, which are used to launch satellites, cargo, and astronauts into orbit. There's also Starlink, an ambitious project involving thousands of satellites to deliver global internet coverage. SpaceX is working on something much bigger than their current rockets. It's called Starship, and it's basically a giant two-stage rocket system designed to carry massive payloads into space and then come back to Earth so it can be used again. This is the next step up from their Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets. They are building and testing Starship at a facility called Starbase down in Texas. The goal is to create the first rocket system that can go to orbit and be completely reusable. If they pull it off, Starship would be able to carry more cargo than any rocket ever built. As of May 28, 2025, they've tried launching it 9 times. 4 of those flights worked, 5 didn't. The system has 2 main parts. There's the super heavy booster that gets everything off the ground, and then there's the Starship spacecraft that goes the rest of the way. Both pieces run on SpaceX's Raptor engines, which burn liquid methane and oxygen to create enough power to break free from Earth's gravity. Here's what makes it different. Both stages are supposed to fly back and land vertically at the launch tower when they're done. That means they can be refueled and flown again instead of being thrown away like most rockets. The upper stage works as both a rocket and a spacecraft, so it can carry people or cargo. For longer trips beyond Earth's orbit, it would need to get refueled while in space. SpaceX has major plans for this thing. They want to use it for launching satellites and telescopes, sending up pieces of space stations, and even landing astronauts on the moon. NASA has already contracted them to use a version of Starship for the Artemis 3 mission in 2027, which is supposed to put people back on the lunar surface. Beyond that, the company is seriously talking about sending humans to Mars. The whole Starship idea started back in 2005 with something they called BFR, Big Falcon Rocket. The design that exists now really came together in 2018. SpaceX's approach has been to test early and often, making changes as they go. Their first full launch happened on April 20th, 2023, but the rocket blew up just 4 minutes into the flight. The project has hit plenty of bumps. There have been delays and they lost 4 upper stages just in early 2025. But SpaceX keeps pushing forward, betting that reusable spaceflight will eventually pay off big enough to make all these setbacks worth it. When SpaceX stacks the entire Starship system together and fills it with fuel, the whole thing weighs about 5,000 tons. That's roughly 11 million pounds. The rocket stands 9 meters wide and 121 meters tall, making it one of the biggest rockets ever built. The entire system is built from stainless steel, which might sound old-fashioned, but works well for rockets. SpaceX makes both stages by stacking and welding steel cylinders that are each about 6 feet tall and just under 4 millimeters thick. It's like building with giant metal tubes. Inside the spacecraft, curved domes separate the methane and oxygen tanks. SpaceX says that when everything works perfectly, Starship should be able to carry between 100 and 150 tons to low Earth orbit or 27 tons out to geostationary orbit, where communications satellites live. The bottom part of the rocket, called Super Heavy, is 71 meters tall and 9 meters wide. It's basically 4 main sections stacked on top of each other. The engines at the bottom, then the oxygen tank, the fuel tank, and finally the inner stage that connects to the upper stage. Elon Musk mentioned back in 2021 that the final design should have a dry weight somewhere between 160 and 200 tons when it's empty. The fuel tanks make up about 80 tons of that weight, with the interstage adding another 20 tons. The 2 fuel tanks are separated by what's called a common bulkhead. It's one wall that serves as the bottom of one tank and the top of the other. This is similar to how the old Saturn V rocket was built. After the second test flight, SpaceX changed this dome design to be more curved, which slightly altered how much fuel each tank can hold. These tanks hold a massive amount of propellant, 3,400 tons total. That breaks down to 2,700 tons of liquid oxygen and 700 tons of liquid methane. The fuel gets fed to the engines through a single funnel system that distributes it to all 33 engines. SpaceX has been upgrading this fuel system as they build new boosters. The newer Block 3 boosters have a much larger transfer tube connecting the engines to the methane tank. Plus, they have 2 fuel connection points instead of one for oxygen and one for methane. The bottom of the rocket is where things get complex. 20 engines are mounted around the outer edge, while 13 engines are clustered in the center and mounted on something called a thrust puck. This puck is reinforced with large steel structures that not only support the weight of those inner engines, but also provide pathways for fuel to reach them. For landing, the rocket has a special header tank that supplies liquid oxygen only to those inner 13 engines. On newer boosters, this header tank has been expanded with additional tanks to give it more capacity for the landing burn. The methane system is integrated with this header tank setup, with the methane funnel running partially through it. Starting with Booster 7, SpaceX added 4 aerodynamic fins on the outside of the oxygen tank. These fins help with lift during descent, but they also house important equipment like batteries, pressure vessels, and carbon dioxide tanks for fire suppression. Some boosters use hydraulic power units instead of the fin-mounted systems. When they do, all the ignition equipment, batteries, and communication gear get housed in the hydraulic unit cover rather than in the fins. The Super Heavy booster that launches Starship is packed with 33 Raptor engines arranged in a very specific way. 20 engines form a ring around the outside and stay in fixed positions, while 13 engines sit in the center and can pivot for steering. The outer engines fire up from the ground but shut down after liftoff to save weight. The center engines restart later for steering and landing maneuvers. After the first test flight, SpaceX switched from hydraulic to electric systems for moving the center engines. This change eliminated the need for heavy hydraulic equipment. They also upgraded the fire suppression and engine shielding to better contain any engine failures. During descent, the booster releases gas through 18 external vents to support the engines, and this setup has become a key part of Super Heavy's design. The Raptor engines use something called a full-flow staged combustion cycle with methane and oxygen. This technology has rarely been tested in rocket history, but it delivers better performance by cooling the fuel below its boiling point to make it denser and flow faster. The early Block 1 versions of Super Heavy produced 73.5 meganewtons of thrust, more than double what NASA's Saturn V rocket could manage. Future versions like Block 3 and Block 4 should push this even higher, targeting over 98 meganewtons. When these engines fire, they create visible shock diamonds in their exhaust, those diamond-shaped patterns that show the intense pressure and power at work. When the booster flies through the upper atmosphere without engine power, it uses small gas thrusters for control, backed up by vents placed strategically around the structure. Between the booster and Starship sits the inner stage, which has changed quite a bit over time. Made from stainless steel and equipped with grid fins that weigh about 3 tons each, it handles stabilization and recovery. The fins stay extended during flight to save time, though this causes some bending when the stages separate. The inner stage also has lifting points that let the launch tower hoist or catch the booster. SpaceX tested this catch system in 2022 and proved it worked in 2024, which was a major step toward rapid reuse. Starting with Booster 11, SpaceX added a new 1.8-meter vented inner stage to enable hot staging. This means the upper stage can fire its engines while still attached to the booster, giving the launch an extra push before separation. On the newer Block 3 boosters, the inner stage is built directly into the methane tank, making it both lighter and stronger. They also reduce the number of grid fins from 4 to 3, positioning them at 90, 90, and 180 degrees around the tank. SpaceX no longer plans to drop this section during flight on Block 2 and Block 3 models. It stays as a permanent part of the vehicle. These changes show how SpaceX keeps refining the system with every flight, pushing rocket technology forward while keeping reusability as the main goal. The Block 2 version of Starship measures 52.1 meters tall and 9 meters wide, putting it among the biggest spacecraft ever constructed. The vehicle breaks down into 4 main sections: the engine bay at the bottom, then the oxygen tank, methane fuel tank, and payload bay at the top. While it looks similar to the retired Block 1 design, Block 2 picked up almost 2 extra meters in height. Elon Musk has said the empty weight comes in around 100 tons. The real challenge for Starship is surviving re-entry. When it comes screaming back through the atmosphere at incredible speeds, the windward side faces temperatures that would melt most materials. SpaceX covers this area with 18,000 black hexagonal heat shield tiles that can handle temperatures up to 1,400 degrees Celsius. These silica-based tiles mount with pins and have small gaps between them, so they can expand under extreme heat without breaking. The design lets them be reused with just basic maintenance between flights. After the 4th test flight, SpaceX realized they needed even more protection. They added a second layer of heat shielding on some vehicles, likely made from Pyron, a carbon composite material. This extra layer goes underneath the existing heat tiles on the control flaps of the 6th test vehicle. Between the heat shield and this ablative layer, the protection system adds about 10.5 tons to the ship's weight. The goal is better survival during descent and the ability to fly repeatedly without major repairs between missions. Inside the spacecraft, the fuel and oxidizer tanks share a common wall, similar to how the Saturn V rocket was built. Block 2 introduced curved elliptical domes that work better structurally than the cone-shaped ones from Block 1. The earlier version had 24 structural reinforcements inside the oxygen tank, but Block 2 added similar supports to the methane tank as well. This creates a stronger, more balanced structure that can handle higher pressures and support more demanding flight patterns as SpaceX works toward full orbital reuse. The tanks hold 1,500 tons of propellant total. 1,170 tons of liquid oxygen, and 330 tons of liquid methane. That fuel load powers all the engines during liftoff, climb to orbit, and landing burns. Every part of Starship's tank design focuses on efficiency, durability, and SpaceX's long-term goal of making deep space missions both affordable and repeatable. With each new version, the structure moves closer to their vision of a fully reusable transport system for traveling between planets. So what flew over Jerusalem that day? Was it just another SpaceX exhaust spiral, creating a light show in the atmosphere? Or was it something more intentional, something that hasn't been officially acknowledged yet? The boundary between fact and speculation gets blurred. But one thing is certain, people witnessed something, and the internet hasn't stopped talking about it since. Join us as we dig into how this old airframe ended up leading the conversation about tomorrow's air power.